What do you get when you combine the raw power of a lion and razor-sharp precision of an eagle? The griffin, one of the most iconic mythical creatures in history, and a deadly foe in the Witcher universe. Today, we're diving into the lore of griffins, their origins in mythology, and their role as both predators and protectors. Let's get it started. In The Witcher, griffins are more than just majestic beasts. They're apex predators that instill fear into the most seasoned hunters. These hybrids have the body, legs, and tail of a lion combined with the head, wings, and talons of an eagle. Their combat style is brutal. They toy with their prey, often eating it alive, piece by piece. Griffins inhabit caves in mountain ranges across the continent. The griffin preys on large mammals. They are territorial creatures, fiercely defending their nest on unreachable mountain summits. When the first colonies appeared and trade routes expanded, griffins were known to attack settlers and merchants in defense of their territory. Their strength lies not only in their talons and beaks, but also in their ability to swoop down from the skies, knocking the enemies to the ground and shredding them apart. One of the first major challenges in the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is the royal griffin. This subspecies is larger than the common griffin, with longer wings and more intimidating physiques. Geralt, alongside Vesemir, encounters this beast while investigating a contract in White Orchard. The deal? Kill the griffin in exchange for gold and information about Yennefer of Vengerberg. But the royal griffin isn't the only deadly subspecies. Archgriffins take the danger up a notch. In addition to their size and strength, they can spit acid to catch you off guard. Each encounter with these creatures is a test of skill, strategy, and nerve. Before we get into their origins in mythology, let's hear their Witcher bestiary.
Griffins were once only found high in the mountains, where they would hunt marmots and wild goats. When humans encroached on their lands, however, griffins soon discovered a new source of much more plentiful and easier caught prey: cows, sheep, and shepherds. Though still wary of main roads and towns, where folk with the means to hire a witch like to dwell, these half-eagle, half-wildcat creatures have gone from rarities to often encountered pests known throughout the northern realms. Especially hated are the subspecies known as royal griffins and archgriffins. Griffins mate for life, and when their partner is attacked, they will defend it to the death. For this reason, they are often considered the embodiment of courage, loyalty, and fighting spirit. This last attribute no one would deny them. When provoked, they will not cease their attack until they have torn their opponent to shreds. Griffins find their victims using their extraordinary perceptive sense of smell. After drawing near to their chosen target, they attack by swooping down from great height. Their muscular mass combined with their swift speed mean this blow alone is often enough to end the fight. If, however, the victim survives this aerial assault, the griffin will immediately engage it in direct combat, making use of its sharp curved beak and powerful talons. The wounds it deals are deep and cause powerful bleeding. Even worse, griffins do not have any true weaknesses, except for their vulnerability to hybrid oil and certain kinds of bombs.
The griffin isn't just a creature of fiction. It has deep roots in mythology, with the heads and wings of an eagle and the body of the lion. This unique combination of an eagle, the king of birds, and a lion, the king of beasts, symbolizes divine power and majesty. The origin of the griffin can be traced back to ancient cultures like Greeks and Egyptians. In Greek mythology, griffins were often depicted guarding treasures and priceless possessions. One famous tale tells of griffins protecting the gold mines of Scythians in the northern steppes, fiercely attacking anyone who dared steal from their hoard. In Egypt, griffins were associated with sun god and worshipped as a symbol of protection and divine. Across the ancient world, from Persia to Scythia, griffins represented strength, vigilance, and dual nature of wisdom and power. The griffin's hybrid nature, a lion, the king of beasts, combined with eagle, the king of birds, made it symbol of unmatched strength and agility. Legends say the griffins were strong enough to carry away full-grown horses or even knights in armor. In heraldry, they symbolize protection, courage, and justice. But even such majestic creatures have their vulnerabilities. In folklore, griffins are sometimes said to have sensitivities to magical elements, a detail that adds depth to their myth and makes them even more fascinating. So how the griffins of The Witcher compare to their mythological counterparts? In the game, they retain their role as fierce, territorial guardians, but they also gain a brutal edge, swooping down to rip their prey apart, or in case of archgriffins, spitting acid to overwhelm their foes. And let's not forget their origin story. While some scholars in The Witcher believe griffins arrived during the conjunction of SUCCUBUS, others argue that they've been native to the continent for millennia. This mirrors real-world myth, where griffins are seen as both guardians of ancient treasure and protectors of divine realms. Whether you see them as a majestic symbol of power or deadly threats, griffins have captured the imagination of humans for centuries. In The Witcher, they are a reminder of how myth can evolve into gripping, unforgettable encounters. So next time you take on a griffin, remember, you're facing a creature with legacy rooted in both fantasy and history. What makes a monster truly terrifying? Is it their ability to hunt, to steal, or perhaps to haunt your very dreams? In the Witcher universe, harpies are cunning skyborn thieves, beasts with talons of steel and love for shiny things. But delve deeper and we find their origins rooted in ancient mythology, where they served as Zeus's hounds and personification of vengeance. Today, we uncover the lore of harpies and their darker cousins, the Arenas. Let's dive in. In The Witcher, harpies are more than just flying nuisance. They're a true menace. These creatures thrive in wild, mountainous regions, nesting high on rocky ledges. But here's the terrifying part. They always settle close to human settlements, because they're thieves, not just of shiny trinkets, but sometimes even dreams. There are many species of harpies in the Witcher world, but one thing unites them all: kleptomania, which means an ability to resist the urge to steal. Some harpies steal valuables like jewelry or tools, but what's interesting is that they are after something far more unique: dreams. These dreams, especially ones loaded with strong emotions like recurring nightmares, are harvested and enclosed in magical crystals. For victims, losing a nightmare might sound like a blessing. This shows some level of intelligence, as they are able to meddle with sorcery. Stealing dreams and turning them into magic is no basic sorcery. How they learned to do that is unclear. The dreams they stole are rarely powerful enough to create strong magic, and that can be the reason we don't see them using magic in their attacks. The closest things is the crystal bracelets worn by Arenas, which are a stronger version of harpies. So those crystals, if magical, could be the source of their strength and the only showcase of magic in harpies, but we don't know that for sure. For greedy sorcerers, these stolen dreams are coveted treasures, radiating magic potent enough to drive them to breed harpies for their own gain. Yet, as I mentioned, it is rare for a stolen dream or nightmare to be powerful enough to satisfy a sorcerer. Harpies are deadly in combat. They strike swiftly from a bow, delivering lethal blows before returning to the skies. Grounding these creatures is often the only way to deal with them effectively. In combat, the Ignisine is Geralt's best ally. Their feathered wings are flammable, making them vulnerable to fire. However, harpies have an incredible sense of balance, so knocking them from the air is rarely enough. They quickly recover and return for another strike. And then there is Arenas, a specific species of harpies found in Skellige. Larger and more menacing than their counterparts, they are easily identified by the crystal-like bracelets on their hands. Though well-rotten carrion is their food of choice, they will not turn up their noses at fresh meat. A flock of Arenas can tear apart even the most skilled warriors with their razor-sharp talons, aiming for vital areas like the eyes and throat. they will circle about their prey, then attack from several directions at once, striking with razor-sharp talons and tearing their targets to shreds. Harpies in The Witcher are more than just scavengers. They are predators of the sky, thieves of treasures and dreams, and a deadly reminder of how ruthless the natural world can be. But their story doesn't end here. To understand where these creatures truly came from, we need to journey back to the myth that inspired them. But before we do that, let's hear their Witcher entry.
Most monsters don't actually keep any treasure in their lairs. Harpies, though, they like shiny things. Letho, Viper School Witcher. It is hard to say what is most repulsive about harpies and their cousins, the SUCCUBUS. Their hideous appearance, the overwhelming stench of rotten bird excrement that clings to them, or their blood-curdling screech. Suffice it to say that even rats, who dwell happily among the rankest fecal matter and rotten waste, give their nests wide berth. Harpy nests are most often found atop high cliffs or rocky ravines. Sure signs of having strayed near one are crumbling human and animals' remains. Guano-streaked rocks and feathers littering the ground. Harpies and SUCCUBUS hunt in flocks consisting of a handful to up to 20 individuals. Though rather cowardly and cautious, harpies fiercely defend their nests and will not hesitate to attack when outnumbering their foes. During combat, they use their ability to fly to dive sick, swiftly to strike their victims, one by one before soaring back up out of reach. They can kill with their wings or their sharp beak and talons. Once on the ground, they move slowly and clumsily and thus no longer present much of a threat.
Harpies didn't start as beasts of the Witcher. Their origins lie deep in Greek mythology, where they were known as snatchers. These half-woman, half-bird creatures were the personification of storm winds and served as Zeus's enforcers. Known as the Hounds of Zeus, they were sent to punish mortals or retrieve stolen items, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. How many harpies are there? That depends on the source. The poet Hesiod mentions 2 harpies by the name in his Theogony. These names are ancient Greek names and I have no idea how to pronounce them, but I'll do my best. Aelo, meaning rainstorm, and Occipit, meaning swift flyer. Homer, on the other hand, introduced Podargy, or Lightfoot, in the Odyssey, and the Roman poet adds a 4th harpy, Selenio, or Stormcloud. This brings us to the fascinating blend of Greek and Roman storytelling. The harpy's appearance has evolved over time. Early myths described them as beautiful maidens with wings. Otherworldly, yes, but not necessarily terrifying. However, later accounts paint a much darker picture. Harpies were said to have bird-like bodies, sharp claws, and even the heads of rooster. In some depictions, they were horrifying hybrid, with features like vulture bodies, bare ears, and a stench so foul that anything they touched became tainted. But it wasn't just their looks that made harpies so feared. It was their abilities. Known for their incredible speed, harpies were said to snatch things or even people away without a trace, embodying the destructive force of storm winds. They were always stealing food, wreaking havoc, and leaving devastation in their wake. The myth most famously associated with the harpies is the tale of King Finush. King Finush was the king of Ceres, who had offended the gods. In the most famous version, he had remarried after his first wife had died, and in his eagerness to make his new bride happy, he allowed her to torture his children. In the other version, King Finush was given the gift of prophecy, but infuriated the gods by revealing too many of their plans. As a punishment, he was blinded, and the gods sent the harpies to torment him. The harpies refused to let him eat by constantly snatching his food or spoiling it with their foul stench. As a result, Finush never got enough to eat and started wasting away. He was finally saved by Jason and Argonauts, who had stopped over in Ceres during their journey to collect the Golden Fleece. They wanted to kill the harpies, but their sister Iris persuaded the Argonauts to spare them if they promised to keep away from King Finush. The harpies were then driven off. Whether seen as messengers of the gods personification of destructive winds, or terrifying omens of doom, the harpies remain one of the most intriguing figures in mythology. Their stories serve as a reminder of the power and unpredictability of nature, as well as consequence of angering the divine. Welcome to another enthralling Witcher lore exploration, where today we'll delve into the mysterious realm of the sea with the enigmatic beings known as sirens. Unlike many monsters, encountering a siren doesn't initially invoke fear, but rather curiosity and attraction. And that's a grave mistake, because as soon as you're within their reach, their alluring beauty changes into monstrous, horrific nightmare of a face, and that's when you realize you've made a fatal mistake. But it's already too late. The siren would take you to the depths of the sea, where even your bones won't be found. Siren's appearance resemble a beautiful woman with a tail covered in silver scales instead of legs. They also have wings, giving them the ability to fly. Sirens usually appear in sea or near the coast. We all remember them attacking our small boat while sailing, one of the most annoying experiences in the world of The Witcher, especially in the quest of Isle of Mist. Sirens can live both in the sea and land. They can swim and fly, making them a versatile fighter. Their beauty is nothing more than a trap to lure men, not so different than the technique people use to lure their hunt into a trap. Once a mesmerized man get close enough, Siren's appearance changes drastically. Their alluring face suddenly turns into a fang-filled, fish-like mouth, and that's the last thing the unfortunate soul enchanted with the beauty of an illusion sees. This technique of luring makes sirens special between all the Witcher's beasts. Sirens attack in groups, as they aren't particularly strong alone. They do sweep attacks and slash with their sharp talons. They also can produce an ear-piercing screech that stuns their attackers. Before getting into the origin and mythology of sirens, let's hear their Witcher bestiary description.
Out at the sea, if you hear a beautiful woman singing, turn the ship around at once. You understand? Even if it means sailing straight back into a storm. Our Cavender's feel advice given to his son before his first solo voyage. Like skilled hunters setting out wooden ducks to lure in drakes, sirens and lamias lure men near, using their own bodies as decoys. They can transform to resemble beautiful human maidens, though with tails covered in silver scales instead of legs. Once a naive sailor gets within arm's reach of these beautiful creatures, their fair faces suddenly turn to fang-filled fish-like maws, and lovely tails, promising unknown delights, become sharp, death-dealing talons. One legend claims sirens and lamias were once friendly towards men, and supposedly were even known, albeit on rare occasions, to accept some sailors' clumsy attempts at courtship. In our day, however, they're decidedly aggressive, perhaps soared by the numerous kidnappings carried out by frustrated sea salts. Whatever the truth, one thing is certain. These days the monsters display no signs of goodwill, and so, when spotting them, one should immediately reach for one's silver sword. Sirens and lamias, the siren's more dangerous cousins, usually hunt in flocks, making use of their numbers as well as their ability to move effortlessly for water and air. On the ground, however, they're virtually defenseless, and so a wise tactic is to damage their fin-like wings to force them to land. The Igni sign also proves effective when fighting against them. Threatened or injured sirens will let out a terrifying shriek, leaving their opponents stunned while they escape, and their sisters swoop down for an easy attack.
Although Witcher lore often comes from Slavic mythology, as the writer himself is from Poland, but sirens actually originate from Greek mythology. They are described in Greek mythology as a creature half bird and half woman, who lured sailors to destruction by sweetness of her song. It is said that there were only 3 of them. In Homer's Odyssey, the Greek hero Odysseus escaped the danger of the sirens by following the advice of the sorceress. He had his crew plug their ears with wax so that they could not hear the sirens' irresistible song. Odysseus himself left his ears unplugged because he wanted to hear their singing. He had himself tied to the mast so that he would not be able to steer the ship off its course. Some mistake sirens for mermaids. Sirens and mermaids share similarities, albeit being fundamentally distinct. While both sirens and mermaids are associated with the sea and have alluring qualities, sirens are typically depicted as dangerous temptresses with bird-like features, while mermaids are often depicted as benevolent, half-human, half-fish beings. And with that, we conclude our exploration into the enigmatic realm of the sirens. Join us next time as we unravel further mysteries and delve into the captivating lore of the Witcher universe. From the depths of the sea to the peaks of the mountain, there are countless tales waiting to be uncovered. Stay tuned for our next video, where we embark on yet another enthralling adventure, unearthing the legends and myths that shape the world of the Witcher. Until then, may your path be safe and your journeys be filled with wonders. Succubus is a creature of beauty and mystery in the Witcher universe, a horned, seductive being often mistaken for evil. But are they truly monsters or something far more complex? In this video, we're diving into the lore of succubus, what they look like, how they live, and the secret behind their seductive charm. Let's find out why even Geralt of Rivia hesitates to call them monsters. Succubus is a fascinating creature from the Witcher universe. Known for their enchanting beauty and magical allure, succubus resemble human women, but have distinct features like small horns, goat-like legs, or tails. These traits remind us that they are not truly human, but something otherworldly. Despite their seductive appearance, succubus are not inherently evil. They don't harm humans out of hatred or hunger for blood, like other monsters do. Instead, they thrive on the energy of their lovers. Passion and intimacy sustain them, not violence. Succubus usually live in hidden places like caves or secluded areas near villages. They prefer privacy but stay close enough to interact with people. Their charm often draws suitors to them willingly, though their relationships sometimes cause trouble. Jealousy and misunderstanding can be a conflict. Villagers fear succubus, branding them as demons or temptresses. But the truth is, succubus are not malicious. They're driven by emotions, not evil intent. Succubus play a key role in showing the grey morality of the Witcher. While some believe they led people astray, Geralt's encounter with them often reveals more complicated story. Succubus are intelligent, emotional, and capable of forming bonds with others. They have supernatural strengths, agility, and charm that goes beyond appearance. They can influence emotions and desires, leaving their lovers enthralled. But don't be fooled, they are not defenseless. If attacked, they can fight back with horns, claws, and surprising speed. Succubus symbolizes the fear of unknown and how society judges what it doesn't understand. In The Witcher, they challenge the idea of good and evil, showing that the world is full of gray areas. By presenting succubus as emotional, flawed, and misunderstood, the series reminds us to question our assumption about what makes someone a monster. Let's listen to Witcher entry and then we'll discuss its origin in mythology.
Unlike other monsters, succubi and menads feel no desire to kill, do not crave human blood, and usually do not, in fact, mean any harm at all. They are motivated by one thing, an insatiable lust. They try in vain to slake this by engaging in sexual acts with any other humanoid species they encounter. While it must be admitted that their victims bestially put up much resistance, this does not mean succubi and menads do not present any danger. Their never-ending advances, though pleasurable at first, have pushed more than one man to madness or even death. Succubi and Maenads usually can be found near human settlement, including small villages and populous cities. They prowl at night, though when stricken by serious need, they will leave their lairs during the day as well. They shower their affections on men as well as women, the young as well as the old, the ugly as well as the beautiful. Some of them are particularly fond of pastors and other holy men, whose seduction they treat as a sort of game. Those succubi are peaceful by nature. When forced to fight, they will defend themselves fiercely. It was thus not be fooled by their fair appearance. Under the velvety skin of their arms lie muscles of iron, and a blow delivered with their rear, goat-like legs or the thick horns on their head can easily crush bone. Combat tactics. Clever witches may be able to talk down a succubus, with stories of witches seducing a succubus and allowing them to flee a region whispered among commoners. Should a witcher choose to slay a succubus, they must act quickly. Succubi are known for their surprising brute strength. They can also be accomplished spell-slingers in their own right, commanding fire with natural aptitude. The simple flashes of fire that a succubus can call upon can disrupt any sword technique a witcher is capable of, and there is no defense save for Quen, or frantic rolls away from the flames. Relentlessness is key. A succubus cannot be allowed to control a battle. Exploding bolts or ayad can disrupt their spell weaving. Northern wind can freeze them in place. A witcher will succeed in slaying a succubus if they can pin them down and unleash a flurry of strikes.
The concept of succubus has its origins in ancient mythology, folklore, and religion, primarily as a demon or supernatural entity that takes on female form to seduce men. The succubus is often depicted as seductive but dangerous figure, embodying both the allure and peril of unrestrained sexuality. In Jewish demonology, the succubus took on more defined form. Lilith and her demonic progeny were thought to seduce men at night, often during sleep, to steal their seeds for the purpose of creating more demons. This belief became intertwined with nocturnal emission, which were considered a sign of demonic activity in medieval Europe. Christian traditions further shaped the concept of succubus during the Middle Age. Church authorities described succubus as a fallen angel who used their beauty to lead men into sin. In these stories, succubus were portrayed as tools of Satan, sent to corrupt the righteous. They would drain the life force of their victims, leaving them weakened or even dead after prolonged sexual encounters. That was it for today's video. Thank you for watching, and if you liked it, please leave a like and subscribe, as that greatly helps the channel. And until the next lore video, take care.